Will the fear factor run high in the stock market on the final day of October? In today's cover story, how General Motors is trying to make the best of a World Series flub. Plus, how scare tactics are fueling mega spending this Halloween. And will corporate profits get sliced and diced due to exposure to Europe? First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Happy Halloween. I'm Angela Miles. In today's First Look, stocks and a freaky Friday. The market has some backbone going into the session today. Yesterday, the Dow rallied 221 points, the Nasdaq 17, and the S&P 13 on strong economic numbers. Gold fell below $1,200 per ounce, and oil dropped $1.29. Trading troubles plagued the New York Stock Exchange for about 10 minutes. There were also glitches at other exchanges. Twitter turmoil. The Wall Street Journal reports Daniel Graff, the head of product development at the social media company, has been demoted. We are getting into the Halloween spirit with trader Joe Keenahan of TD Ameritrade. Hello, Joe.
Good morning, Angie. Many have said that I have my scary mask on already this morning.
We like your mask, Joe.
Thank you.
Are investors in for a trick or a treat in the market today?
Well, overall, investors are often due for a treat on the last day of the month, as we often see money coming in to buy stocks on the last day of the month and push things a little bit higher. However, there may be one trick in the bag, and that trick may be Citigroup. A large financial will affect the financial sector, which is one of the big sectors in the market overall. They had very disappointing earnings last night after the close.
Are there other haunted stocks out there?
Well, I think one of the tricks in the bag today could also be Starbucks. Starbucks had earnings that were a little bit disappointing, but what really disappointed the street was their guidance going forward, not what people wanted to hear. The stock was down in after-hours trading, so their cafe lattes today may not taste quite as sweet for investors. On the treat side, you may see GoPro. GoPro had very nice earnings last night after the close.
October has been a volatile month. Will the market continue to be rattled?
In the near term, what I think investors are going to be looking at is the SPX, the S&P 500 cash. We're nearing 2,000. Going up to challenge that is certainly something all of us have our eyes on right now, Angie.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, happy Halloween.
Regulators are using a serious tone in the airbag recall scandal. Chuck Coppola has details. Hello, Chuck.
Good morning, Angie. Regulators in the U.S. are stepping up pressure on Takata. The Japanese auto supplier is under scrutiny for an airbag recall that affects 7.7 million vehicles. The airbags are said to have the potential to explode with too much force. Now, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has asked Takata to do all that is possible to quickly and responsibly replace airbag inflators. NHTSA has ordered Takata to turn over documents related to the recall by December 1st. Takata says it is cooperating fully with NHTSA and is working to meet their requests.
The U.S. economy is still clicking along at a solid pace. The latest read on economic conditions shows a 3.5% rise in GDP for the third quarter, due in part to business investments and a jump in military spending. It also follows a 4.6% GDP gain in the second quarter.
We have some good economic output. I think growth in the United States is very dependable, but I also think it's very modest, and I just don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Scott Wren of Wells Fargo Advisors also says his firm predicts 2.8% growth in 2015.
Google is opening the door to tracking the housing sector. Last March, Google invested $50 million in Auction.com. The site's new technology venture offers a real estate nowcast. It already predicts existing homes will sell at an annual pace of 5.18 million in October. That forecast is weeks ahead of the National Association of Realtors report. Zillow.com, CoreLogic, and RealtyTrack also track the housing market.
Microsoft beats Apple to the punch. Microsoft unveiled its new wearable fitness device, simply named Band. The device is already on sale. Apple's watch is due out sometime in 2015. Band has sensors that tracks heart rate and the number of calories burned. It can also receive text messages and Facebook alerts. Microsoft shares fell 1% yesterday to $46.
Could cheap be the trick to boosting smartphone sales? That's what Samsung executives are testing. Korean tech company says it'll focus on lower-end smartphones. In its latest earnings report, Samsung says its third quarter profit plunged 50% due to competition. The company's market share is also slipping as Xiaomi and Apple rise in popularity.
Apple CEO Tim Cook stunned Wall Street with his proclamation that he is proud to be gay. Cook is said to be the first CEO of a Fortune 500 company to make that disclosure. Cook tells Bloomberg Businessweek he likes keeping the focus on Apple products. We asked Chris Gersh of Altimus Capital if Cook's declaration matters to traders.
Angie, traders care because they're in the business of making money. And the fact that there's bigotry throughout the U.S., people are going to make financial and consumer decisions based on this news about Tim Cook being gay. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in, and a lot of these traders are going to look to profit off this news.
For now, Apple continues to trade near a record high for the year. Gersh predicts traders will lean towards selling this stock in the next round of earnings from Apple.
The CEO of Carnival Cruise Lines is retiring. Jerry Cahill is leaving the cruise company after 2 decades. His responsibilities will end as of November 30th, but he'll stay on as an advisor for the company. CEO helped steer the company through a PR nightmare in 2013. That's when the cruise ship Carnival Triumph lost power and stranded passengers at sea for days. It's been a rocky year for the stock. Shares rallied yesterday to $40.07.
Gerber Foods is under fire with the FTC for claiming its baby formula helps prevent allergies. The agency wants Gerber, also known as Nestle Nutrition, to pull its claims from Good Start Gentle formula labels and ads. Gerber responds, "We are defending our position because we believe we have met and will continue to meet all legal requirements to make these product claims."
In our cover story, the most awkward moment of the World Series featured a nervous car sales rep winging it when he couldn't recall all the specific technology and stuff that the truck awarded to Giants pitcher Madison Bumgarner contained. The botched presentation's gone viral and has Chevy trying to spin it in the best way possible. The MVP meltdown happened when Rick Wilde, a Kansas City sales rep for Chevrolet, short of breath, sweating, and very nervous, went rogue while awarding a Chevy truck to Giants pitcher Madison Bumgarner during Fox's broadcast of the World Series.
At Chevrolet, we have also been proud of the latest and greatest technology in our truck lineup.
My first reaction was, oh no. My second reaction was, oh, this poor guy. And my third reaction was, shame on you, Chevy, for not executing this better and preparing this guy more properly.
Even near the Pluto of championship baseball's solar system, it sounded as though Wilde was trying to sell the truck in his 1-minute presentation, not give it away.
It combines class winning and leading, technology and stuff.
We're going to give you the award, but let's talk about our Chevy first. That's the whole reason why they have commercials, why they pay for TV spots for commercials. Don't do it when you're giving the award.
They probably could have picked someone who's a little bit more prepared.
I blame Chevy, mostly.
The blogosphere went crazy. Deadspin said Wilde made Bud Selig look like Cary Grant. On top of things, the 2015 Chevy Colorado was recalled this month for defective airbags.
It reinforces an image that, General Motors, Chevy, this is a car company that still doesn't have their act together after coming out of bankruptcy after the recalls, that they're really run by and made up of people who really are not competent.
In a statement, GM said, "We are not making Mr. Wilde available to speak to the press at this time." A lifelong Kansas City Royal fan, Rick was still a little emotional over the outcome, and that baseball fans can relate with Rick's authentic emotions.
I think it went viral because it's hilarious.
General Motors quickly embraced Wilde's Chris Farley-esque performance, adding the catchphrase "technology and stuff" to Chevy's website.
Basketball superstar LeBron James is back on the court for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The power forward is already an economic winner. The average price of a home game ticket this season, a whopping $388 according to Tick IQ. Fanatics reports the Cavs have the top-selling licensed merchandise, and it's projected the Cleveland area will get a $50 million boost.
Turning to earnings, Kellogg's is facing a cereal slump. The food company reported better than expected earnings and profits, but says fewer consumers are eating cereal, posing a challenge. The stock rose 2.5%. Avon had a messy day. Shares fell 9% after the cosmetics company posted a larger than expected decline in revenue. And Weight Watchers stock drops 13% on lower third quarter revenues and earnings. The stock closed above $25.
Catching up on earnings that came in after the close last night, LinkedIn licked Wall Street estimates. The social media site posted a 45% increase in revenue as more members linked in. Shares rose 1.5% after the bell. Expedia profits rose 50% on growth in bookings. Investors gave that stock a 2% lift. Groupon was also a gainer on earnings, jumping above $6. The online coupon company reported revenue growth but racked up a wider loss.
9 companies are set to go public next week, but Thursday, Boot Barn Holdings kicked off its IPO. Boot rallied 9% to $17.45. Coming up Wednesday is Antero Resources, a Colorado-based energy company. The predicted price range is $19 to $21, ticker symbol AM. Inc. Research, a North Carolina-based bioresearch company, debuts Friday. That range is $17 to $20 under symbol INCR. Also Friday, Freshpet, a New Jersey-based natural pet food company. Shares could price around $12 to $14 under FRPT.
On the economic calendar for today, it's personal income and spending, core PCE prices, employment cost index, Chicago PMI, and Michigan sentiment. On the earnings calendar, Chevron, AbbVie, Aon, Anheuser-Busch InBev, Hilton Worldwide, Exxon, CBOE Holdings, Clorox, and Pepco Holdings. Still to come, the horror story of the financial crisis is back in focus in Traders Unplugged. Plus, the reason why there's no need to disguise consumer spending this Halloween season. And after the break, what holiday are we celebrating? Retailers that are creeping ahead to Christmas.
It's Halloween, but retailers are moving full speed ahead to Christmas. Amazon says Black Friday deals will start tomorrow, almost a month early. Walmart will take on the e-tailer by offering online price matching. And Kohl's, following a cue from Macy's, has unveiled plans to open earlier on Thanksgiving this year at 6 p.m. instead of 8 p.m.
It's scary how fast Halloween is growing in popularity. Jackie Keenan reports from Florida on how business owners are bewitched.
It's here, the night where all things freaky come knocking on your door. Like evil clowns, The Walking Dead, and even zombie roosters. Halloween sales of things like grotesque effects, spooky lighting, and frilly costumes are scaring up big numbers for retailers this year. According to the National Retail Federation, the average American will spend $77 this Halloween, adding up to $7.4 billion, a 7% spike from last year and a 48% jump from 2007.
It gets bigger every year.
Bill McGrath is a district manager for Spirit Halloween Stores. He says his company added 50 locations across the country, and there are now more than 1,000 seasonal stores.
We have opened more stores this year, so we're about 4% ahead of last year.
But for most kids, Halloween is really all about one thing.
All the candy.
Americans will be spending close to $2.2 billion on candy for those adorable or scary trick-or-treaters. And as if candy didn't have enough sugar, every imaginable food now comes in pumpkin, like waffles, cookies, and of course, cupcakes. Sales of pumpkin-flavored foods are up 13.5% this year, totaling $308 million in sales. Letitia Stovern owns a bakery in Tampa, Florida, and says sales start to spike after the ubiquitous Starbucks introduces its pumpkin spice latte.
Pumpkin is advertised everywhere, and they seem to come and ask for pumpkin more frequently when they advertise.
This in Olaf is all I have left.
And as for the most popular costumes this year, expect to see a lot of little Elsas and Annas and Ninja Turtles gobbling up your candy. For First Business News, I'm Jackie Keenan.
Adding to the Halloween festivities, 23 million people will dress up their pets for the haunted holiday. Coming up, a trader brushes the cobwebs off a spider play in Chart Talk. And after the break, are the guys fearful of the plunging price of oil? Traders Unplugged is right after the break. And now, now for our Halloween version of Traders Unplugged. A couple of traders who never fear the market. Alan Nuckman and James Romali join us from CME Group. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Let's go with round number one. Credit due. Extremely low interest rates set by the Fed are all the talk, but who should get credit for rescuing the financial system?
You've got to understand the fundamentals are fantastic. There's nothing that hasn't improved over the last few years, and it is bothersome to me that the administration and this group of folks is not getting any credit, and if you listen to the politics, you would think the market has crashed and everybody is suffering.
Right. Well, I think the answer to the question really depends on who you are in this world. Those who were shaken out in 2008 never really recovered like those that were in the 1% and had the staying power to stay in markets.
But that's their fault that they were afraid and they didn't see an opportunity and they just stayed away.
Right. The low rates are great if you can get the capital to invest them, but if you're in the lower part of income earners in the U.S., you never had that access in the first place.
Round two, contagion raging. Some say Europe is on the verge of recession. What stocks would you play that have euro exposure? Coke, Priceline, or McDonald's?
McDonald's has quite a bit of exposure in Europe. 40% of their net revenues come out of the EU. Now, the problem is if the European economy tanks,
McCheese?
Not good for McDonald's. I'm looking at this one as a short setup here. It came from 104 down to 89. It has gotten a little bit of a bounce back to 93, but I think this is a good place to start selling more McDonald's. The main reason I'm looking to go short is even if the EU does not collapse and their monetary policy helps fix that economy, sales in the U.S. are struggling for McDonald's.
Yeah, they've got some issues, but I think it's more of a buy than a sell at these levels. But there's a couple of others. Molson Canadian, they 50% of their revenues come from Europe. But I'm actually looking at this from a risk-reward standpoint, looking at EWG, which is the German ETF. We're sitting around 27 now, 25 is low. That has disconnected from the S&P.
Round three, oil's not well. What does oil below $80 per barrel mean to your trading?
Well, it means it's a tax cut for the consumer, so the consumer may get back into the game. But what's interesting about this, I was looking at the numbers from the shorts in the futures markets. They've been covering their positions in a very, very quick fashion here in the last week. So that may be the sign of a bottom here in the near term. But that's more good news that people aren't enjoying.
Right, absolutely. Now, I think that maybe we are getting ready to put a bottom in at all. I don't think it's going to happen until we get to 75. Alan's point about a tax break for the consumer here, yeah, that's a really good thing for them. But if we don't see that come through, especially as we get through earnings for retails in the holidays, we're not going to see a good thing happen in the stock market.
When was the last time you paid less than $3 for gas?
On to the bonus round question for today, a Halloween ticker time. Which of the following ticker symbols is a fake? Is it A, boo, B-O-O, B, ghost, G-H-S-T, C, mask, M-A-S-K-X, or D, trick, T-R-C-K?
I'm going to have to say trick.
Yeah, I think it's none of the above. I think she's trying to trick us.
Well, the answer is trick. We love to trick you because you're such great sports. Thanks for coming on the show. First Business continues right after this.
Thank you.
In Chart Talk this morning, the dollar, once given up for dead, is now showing signs of life. Larry Schover of SFG Alternatives joins us. Happy Halloween, Larry.
Thank you.
As the dollar shows durability, what are some stocks or some plays where investors could maybe make a profit here?
You know, it's according to what your conviction is. I mean, right now it's a crowded trade. A lot of people think the dollar is going to go higher, and really it's uneven. It's hard to know exactly its trajectory and against what currency. So if you think the dollar is going to rally, I would just buy an ETF that crosses against some of the major currencies. Beyond that, I'd be very careful with individual names. They might get hurt with this exposure, but they're hedging their exposure as well. So it's not a good one-to-one bet. I think ETFs linked to currency is the best way to go.
Do you have any ETF favorites?
I actually like all the spiders. I think they're the best correlated to the dollar.
Nice move on Halloween. You like the spiders. Let's talk about gold as well. What would be your move there?
Well, I still think gold's going to continue lower, and not just because we've had that snap-down move recently. I just think at the end of the day that U.S. monetary policy is going to keep a cross over gold's head. And I think eventually next year we're going to see, the low 1100s. It's not going to be easy, but I still think the best way to play that is if you're a trader is to sell any strength However, if you're an investor, don't take my word for it and actually buy gold, because I think we're in the middle of a policy experiment. We don't know how it's going to end up, and gold's a good diversifier. So an ETF on that would make a lot of sense.
And again, any names that you like out there, Larry?
Well, I really like Freeport. It's a great company and does a lot more than just gold, and I think they've done a lot with their infrastructure. They're opening up very lean mines and also have exposure to copper and palladium.
Thank you, Larry. Have a
You're
safe
welcome.
and happy Halloween. That's it for today. Coming up on Monday, why the midterm election Tuesday could be good for the stock market. And with that, have a good weekend, because it's time for us to disappear.